Stockport County are on fire at the moment. They have picked up 2 promotions in the last 3 seasons and have made a very solid start to life in League One. And as mad as it sounds, County could actually be on course to get promoted once again to the Championship. And I want to fast track their growth as we are jumping into FC25. We are going to take charge of County with the end goal of winning them a Champions League trophy. Now, if you do enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as we are trying to get 5k subs by the end of the year. Let's now jump into FC25 and get Stockport County rebuilt. So this is the Stockport County team we have loaded into an FC25, and do you know what? It is actually quite a good team on paper. We've actually got some pretty decent players at the club. We've got Louis Barry on loan from Aston Villa, who is absolutely killing it in real life. He is 21-year-old and 65 rated in game. And we have also got a very exciting young central midfielder in Lewis Bate, formerly of Leeds United. He is 21-year-old and 65 rated as well. However, one issue I do have with this Stockport County team is that most of our best players are all aging. There's not a lot of players at the club who are under 25 who I can see being here for an extended period of time, or maybe even making our final squad. But first things first, we have to sort out our starting 11 and our formation for this rebuild, and we are definitely going to be changing the formation, boys. We've had a play about with the starting 11 and the formation, and we have decided on a flat 4-3-3 for this rebuild. And you may notice that we have stuck a few young players in the team who are slightly less rated in overall, like Fevria out on the right wing, Fiorino at central midfield, and Mingy and Pai at the back. As Stockport have got quite a lot of players in their prime years at like 27, 28 years of age, they don't have much room to grow. However, players like Mingy, Pai, Fiorino and Fevria actually do have room to grow. So I think it's best we just throw them straight in the first team and get them growing straight away. Now, do I think this team has got enough in-game to push for promotion in season number 1? No. However, FC25 loves to throw surprises our way. And as we know, with these rebuilds, transfers in the first season are banned. Cannot sign any players till season 2, so we are actually stuck with the group of players that we have got. Now, in recent weeks, my pronunciation of player names in recent rebuilds has been absolutely terrible, and you guys have been putting it out. So to completely nullify this from happening in today's rebuild, this will be the first ever single nation rebuild on the channel, and we will only be able to sign English players for this rebuild, and we can only actually win the Champions League when the entire squad is English. And for our tactics in this rebuild, I'm not going to go with a custom tactic with a League One team, as I just don't think they'll be able to implement it well on the pitch. We're going to go with the wing play tactical preset, and as always, if you would like to have a good glance at our player roles, feel free to pause the video. And I do think it's probably a good thing that transfers are banned in season 1, as we've only got £2 million in the bank, and I think we would struggle to massively improve our squad with this money. So we have analysed the squad, picked a formation, picked our starting 11. Don't really think there's much more we can do in season 1 given the fact that transfers are banned. So we are now just going to simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. I don't really know what to expect from the Stockport team, but I would love to see us have a go to try and get into the playoff places. So we have arrived at the end of season number 1, and we finished 8th in League One, just 1 point outside of the playoffs. And you know what, lads, I am actually really happy with this season. In the back of my mind, I was expecting us to be around 12th to 16th. We finished 8th. We challenged for the playoffs, which is what I wanted us to do. And if we nail the signings in season 2, I am confident we can secure a playoff place. Not that I'm too interested in the FA Cup at this stage, but we did make the 3rd round, which is a big achievement for any League One or League 2 side. But we did lose to Championship opposition Bristol City 2-1. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 1. We have seen some really nice growth from the likes of Bate, Fiorino, Fevria, Barry, Arademola and Pai. Now, unfortunately, Arademola is actually from an African country, I think, so we cannot actually sign him permanently, and I would have really liked to use him. Louis Barry is 69 rated, 22-year-old, and his loan is also expiring, but I just fear he is going to be well out of our price range next season, so we could be saying bye to Louis Barry permanently as well. However, the rest of the squad is looking really strong going into season number 2. I am going to mix up the formation a bit. I'm going to change to a 4-3-3 defend with a CDM and 2 central midfielders, as I have found a young central defensive midfielder that I do really want to sign. And I am going to be on the lookout for a new right back to replace Noyle. And if we can't re-sign Louis Barry, I would like to bring in a left winger as well. Now, in terms of stats, it was actually Isaac Olafe who was our best player, getting 14 goals and 1 assist. Louis Barry was excellent. He got 13 goals, 6 assists, almost 70 rated. I would love to bring him back next season, but it is completely budget dependent. So let's now get into season 2, finally start making some signings. signings. So we've arrived in season number 2 and we've got £5 million to spend, which in real life would be amazing for any League One side. In FC25, it's a pretty average budget. So let's get the bad news out of the way first, boys. Louis Barry will definitely not be rejoining Stockport County in this transfer window, as he is unwilling to relocate at this time, which is a very polite way of saying I don't want to play League One football. But do you know what? Let's lift the mood a little bit with 2 excellent loan signings with very affordable optional future fees. Kicking things off, we have loaned in Toby Collier for a season from Manchester United, who was my primary target in the CDM position. He's 21-year-old, 66 rated, looks pretty good on paper, and we can sign him on a permanent deal at the end of the season for 1.1 million, which is a great deal. Following Collier through the door, we have brought in Cade Gordon from Liverpool. He is 20-year-old, 66 rated. He also looks really decent, and in 2 seasons time we can sign him for 1.6 million, which I think is 2 excellent bits of business, and they both go straight into our starting 11. And now we are pulling the rest of our resources into signing a new right back. And in this transfer window, we have found great difficulty actually bringing players to the club, because so many players are saying they don't want to relocate. However, we have found a player who does look decent in the same league and has got no problem joining Stockport, and that man is Dion Rankin, currently playing for Wigan Athletic. He is 67 rated, 22-year-old, looks like a pretty decent League One level player on paper, and he falls well into our price range, lads, as the max we're going to pay for him is 1.5 million. So we're going to bring him to Edgeley Park in this transfer window. And Rankin joins the club for 1.1 million on a 4-year deal. Now, after the signing of Rankin and bringing in Gordon and Collier on loan, we only have £1 million left in the bank. We do have some contracts to renew. I would like to bring some coaches in, and despite any player sales, I do think that is our transfer window for season 2 finish. And on the topic of outgoings, 2 players have left the club this season. We've sold both centre attacking midfielders who are at the club, as we do not use them in our formation. Nick Powell has left the club for 740 grand, and we have sold Odin Bailey to Elche for 1.1 million. He did look like a pretty decent player, to be honest, just don't use cams in this formation, and I don't see anywhere we can actually get him into the team. And that means our transfer window is now done. This will be the team that takes us into season 2. It looks so much better than the team that started season 1. I do think this team is definitely good enough to challenge for playoff positions in League One, and hopefully, given the fact we've got quite a young team now, these players can grow, plenty can reach 70 rated. Who knows, by the end of season 2 we could be in the championship. And this season we do have a very strong bench for League One level, so we do have plenty of options in the squad. So now our transfer window is done. There's going to be no more incomings or outgoings in this window. We are now going to simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 2. Hopefully we manage to get into the playoff, boys. So we've arrived at the end of season number 2, boys, and we have won the League One title, beating Bolton to the league trophy by just 4 points, obviously, meaning in season number 3 Stockport County are playing championship football. Now in the FA Cup we were absolutely brilliant, getting all the way to the 5th round of the trophy, where unfortunately we drew Arsenal and they beat us 2-1. There's no shame in that. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 2, and we have seen growth all across the team, seeing every player besides Torre and Adai reach 70 rated. I think we have definitely got a low level championship squad on paper. We've got a decent bench as well, pretty good backup options. Now because we'll have a decent budget when we go into the championship next season, we can finally get rid of all the non-English players in our team. Starting with Torre at left back, he will be getting replaced along with Adai, the goalkeeper. Fiorino is Scottish, so we'll be replacing him as well, meaning a new central midfielder, left back and goalkeeper are on the cards heading in to season number 3. And then we'll look to sell any other player in the squad who is not English. I would like to have done this sooner, lads, but we just haven't had the finances. Now in terms of stats, what a season Isaac Olafe had. He got 28 goals and 6 assists in 51 games. That is insane. Cade Gordon had a brilliant season as well, getting 17 goals and 7 assists, and it's just typical that Luis Fiorino had a great season, 15 goals and 7 assists, and we've got to sell him. That is absolutely soul destroying. So a very successful season 2 is in the history books. Let's now get into season number 3. So we have arrived in season number 3 and we've only got £8 million in the bank, which could scupper our transfer plans. However, we will be selling quite a few players who are not English in this window, so we should recuperate some more budget. However, kicking our season off, we will be making Toby Collier's loan deal a permanent one. We can make it a permanent deal for just 1.1 million, and at 22-year-old and 70 rated, this is an excellent deal. And Collier is in for 1.1 million. Great signing. Now, we have literally just had to renew pretty much every single player at the club's contract, and it's left us with just 4 million in the bank. So we are now dependent pretty much on player sales before we can bring anyone else in permanently. Also, we thought, as I have just seen that Burnley goalkeeper Etienne Green's contract is expiring in 11 months time, meaning we can get get him for below his market value, anywhere between 1.1 and 1.9 million, which is an absolutely great deal. As Green is 25-year-old and 72 rated, a big upgrade on a die. He's actually got really nice stats as well, so we are going to make a move to bring Green to Edgeley Park, and I think this would be a very, very solid signing. And Etienne Green joins the club for 1.3 million for a 72 rated goalkeeper. That's a very, very good deal. Will Green be our endgame goalkeeper? Probably not, but he definitely fills a void left by a die right now. And after the signing of Green, we are left with just 2 million in the bank, so we are now definitely dependent on player sales. Now, as we get players out of the club, we have made a sneaky loan signing, 2-year loan with an optional future fee, and we have brought a very exciting central midfielder from the Premier League to Edgeley Park in Keanu Dyer of Chelsea. He's 69 rated, 19 years old, looks really, really decent. He joins us on a 2-year loan, as we've already said, and we can sign him permanently in 2 seasons time for £3 million, which again I think is an excellent piece of business. So we have sold a lot of players in this transfer window, so let's get you up to date. We did sell a youth academy graduate who I did want to use, Thomas Gregory. He has joined Casapia for 900 grand, and this is purely because he just maxed out his potential too quick. We had to sell Sam Hughes to Estoril Praia as he would not accept a new contract, and they signed him for 800 grand. Irishman Andrew Morgan has left the club for 400 grand. Northern Irishman Callum Camps has headed over to America, 500 grand. We sold Luis Fiorino to Copenhagen for 2.2 million. Really sad to see him go, but rules are rules. This is an English only rebuild. Max Metcalf has also left the club, 240 grand, and Corey Adai has joined Birmingham City for 1 million. So after those player sales, we're left with £7 million in the bank. Now, as we know, we need a left back in this transfer window, and we have identified Harry Amas, who is playing in Germany for Leipzig. He's 19 years old, he's 68 rated, really like the look of his stat. Very, very affordable as well, boys. Anywhere from 2 million to 3.35 million. Bringing in Amas would save us some money, which we can reinvest in other positions on the pitch, and he's actually got really good potential in FC25. And Harry Amas joins the club for 2.4 million, which is a fantastic deal. And this does leave us with £4 million still left in our bank account, and I think we could do with bringing in a younger defender to replace Horsfall in the starting 11. So we are going to bring in Charlie Hughes of Hull City, 70 rated, 22-year-old. He is so affordable, boys, anywhere between 1.5 and 2.5 million. Bring him to Edgeley Park, but I genuinely think he comes in, makes us better, and he has got a lot more room to grow than Horsfall. And Charlie Hughes has joined the club for 1.8 million, rounding off what I think's been an excellent transfer window. And with all our new signings in the starting 11, this will be the Stockport County team to take us in to season number 3. The squad isn't looking much better in terms of overall, but we have replaced players with younger, high potential players who should develop loads this season. And heading into our first season in the Championship, I do think we have plenty of options on the bench. We only have one player now at the club who is not English, and that is Oliver Norwood, but no one will sign him, so he's just going to see out his contract and leave at the end of the season. So our transfer window is now completed, and to be honest, there's not really much more we can do other than simulate forward straight through to the end of season 3 and see how Stockport County get on in their first season as a Championship side. Oh, do you know what? I'm actually going to call this rebuild and narrowly missing out on the playoffs rebuild, as we have finished 7th in the Championship on 70 points, just 2 points off a playoff place, with better goal difference than Sheffield United as well. And I know this has been an absolutely outstanding season for our first back in the Championship, but when you come so close to the playoffs and just miss out, it's absolutely soul destroying. And the FA Cup, we did give a good account of ourselves again, getting to the 4th round, where unfortunately Burnley knocked us out 3-0. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 3, and there's been growth all across the team. We're starting to look like a really, really strong young side. Etienne Green's been a great signing, already going to 76 rated. Dyer and Gordon have had great seasons in terms of growth as well, along with Charlie Hughes. I do think this team is definitely capable of being a playoff side with the right additions in season number 4. We are going to look to bring a new striker to the club who's younger than Olafe, who has better potential, and we can actually progress into a Premier League level player. And I may look to bring in another centre-back to replace Pai. He's a very, very good centre-back for this level, but I think if we can elevate the level of our defence and attack heading into season 4, we can definitely push on and become a Premier League side. And before we head into season number 4, Gordon's loan is coming to an end. He's 76 rated. We can buy him for 1.6 million, and that will be our first order of business in season number 4. Now, in terms of stats, Isaac Olafe was once again our strongest player, getting 22 goals and 4 assists. Jaden February has had an outstanding rebuild so far. He's got 18 goals and 4 assists, growing to 74 rated. Dyer was insane this season. He grew by 6 overalls, 17 goals and 6 assists. That's a great return. So season 3 in hindsight was actually a massive, massive success. We are now getting into season number 4, and this is when we get serious about pushing for a Premier League place. So we have arrived in season number 4, and we have only got £6 million in the bank. My God, boys, we might only be able to bring Gordon to the club on a permanent, and that's it in this window. And Gordon does join the club for 1.65 million, but he is taking on 30 grand a week, and that has decimated our transfer budget. And to make things much worse, Ryan Rydell and Jack Diamond would not accept new contracts at the club, and they are both leaving for free, as we are now left with just £3 million in our bank account. So we are going to have to see what magic we can work in the loan market. So the loan market for us in this rebuild so far has been absolutely brilliant, given the fact we're constantly getting poor transfer budgets. So we have brought in another youngster from the Premier League. This time it's someone you'll definitely know. Dane Scarlett has joined the club on a 2-season loan. He's 23-year-old, 73 rated, do like the look of his stats, and we can make the deal permanent for £3 million in 2 seasons time, which I think is a great deal. Scarlett was insane in FC24, and I'm hoping he can do the business for us in FC25. So boys, we have managed to do a little bit of wheeling and dealing off camera. 2 players have left the club, and that has enabled us to bring in a new centre-back who I'm really excited to bring to the club. Let's start with the outgoings, and Macaulay Southam Hales has left the club for 490 grand, and we have sold Ethan Pye to Norwich City for 3.1 million, and this has enabled us to bring Ronnie Edwards to the club from Southampton. He's 24-year-old, 73 rated, absolutely brilliant stat, and because his contract was expiring in 11 months time, we have signed him for just £3 million, and his market value is 5.5 million, which I think is an excellent deal, and this is a really solid signing for us, and hopefully now we can push on and try to at least crack the playoffs this season, because this team on paper is definitely good enough to get into the Championship playoffs, especially now that we've added Ronnie Edwards to the back line. Now I actually remember a time when Ronnie Edwards and Charlie Hughes were both playing in League One at the same time, battling it out for the League One Young Player of the Season award. Now they're both in the same team here at Stockport County. Hopefully they can elevate us to the next level. Now that leaves us with just £1 million in the bank, so I cannot see any more signings taking place, and given the fact that our squad is now so small, definitely won't be letting anyone leave the club. Now do you know what, lads, there's not really much more we can do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 4. We've used up our small transfer budget, we've managed to ship out a few players. The squad is looking very strong heading into season number 4, and I'm really hopeful we can crack into the playoffs this season. So far in this rebuild we have had 2 episodes of narrowly missing out on the playoffs, and I've got a whole new episode for you, narrowly missing out on automatic promotion. Come on, as we have finished 3rd in the league on 95 points. We've got 95 points, lost 5 games all season, and somehow did not get automatic promotion. It's crazy. Wolves and Brentford went up on 99 and 97 points. Absolutely gutted, and that means we will take on Cardiff City in the playoffs, and we managed to beat Cardiff City 4-2 over 2 legs. Luton Town beat Birmingham 3-2 over 2 legs to set up a Wembley final, Stockport County versus Luton Town, and we've done it, boys. We have beaten Luton 3-1 at Wembley Stadium, and Stockport County are in the Premier League in season 5. And in the FA Cup we made the 4th round once again, this time getting beat by Ipswich, starting to get a little bit concerned about our performances in the Cups. So this is the team that has got us promoted to the Premier League, and it's looking class on paper. Dyer and Gordon are by far our best 2 players. We'll be making Dyer's loan deal into a permanent move at the start of next season for just 3.3 million. He's 22-year-old and 82 rated. What a signing this man has been for us. I'm actually happy with how the team's looking all across the board. However, I do think going into the Premier League we definitely need to sign a new right back to replace Rankin and a new central midfielder to replace Bay, as them 2 are just not quite Premier League starting level players. And in terms of stats, what a signing Dane Scarlett turned out to be. 39 goals and 5 assists in 53 games. Gordon also had a really decent season as well, getting 15 goals and 2 assists, and Dyer, what a player this man is. So season 4 was a roaring success. Let's get stuck into the Premier League. So we've arrived in season number 5 and we've only got 47 million in the bank. Can't lie, this is going to hold us back quite a bit this season. First things first, we are definitely making Keanu Dyer's loan deal permanent. Is worth 40 million. We are going to get him for just 3.275919 for the exact pound. And Dyer signs, but he is taking on 60 grand a week, and that leaves us with 41 million pounds to bring in a centre midfielder and a right back. This could be a bit of a struggle. So as we know, in this transfer window we are in the market for a new central midfielder. We have just spotted that Elliot Anderson's contract is expiring in 11 months time, meaning we can pick him up on the cheap. He's 25 years old, he is 83 rated. Just look at the stats, every single one above 75, and we can sign him for anywhere between 25 and 33 million, which is an absolute steal. This is an absolute no-brainer, boys, and this is a big moment for Stockport County, as Elliot Anderson signs for just 27 7 million. And lads, just look at him. He is absolutely the best player at the football club. However, we are now left with just £11 million, so signing a new right back might be off the cards this season. And we have got some excellent news, boys. We've had some much needed funds added to our transfer kitty as we won our pre-season tournament, and we've got 3.9 million added to our bank account. And you better believe we are being brought straight back down to earth, as look how many contracts we've got to renew, boys. And it's not even a case of me being able to just let them run out. We need these players at the club because we literally don't have anyone. And after renewing those contracts, we are left with £11 million. And if I'm completely honest, boys, I really don't see us making another signing this summer, as we literally only have 19 players at the club at this current moment in time. And we have made one final signing in this window, boys. We have brought in free agent Dylan McCandy, who joins us on a 2-year deal. He's 26-year-old, 71 rated, will make a pretty decent squad player for the next 2 seasons. And that is definitely our transfer window finished, as we just do not have enough funds to bring anyone in. And that means this will be the Stockport County team to take us into our first season in the Premier League. And we've got an excellent midfield three who are only going to get better. Our defence is looking good until you look at ranking at the right hand side. However, I just don't have enough money to replace him, and I do think our front three is very, very dangerous. However, it is just the bench where I'm concerned. Olafi and Bate are good options to bring on. Markande is not a terrible player, neither's Horsfall, but that bench is very, very, very Championship standard and not Premier League standard at all. So we aren't going to be allowing anyone to leave the club in this transfer window. So I think there's nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 5. And like I've already said, I just want to see Stockport anywhere out of that relegation zone. So season 5 is done and dusted, and wow, what an impressive season we have had, as we have finished 8th in the Premier League on 55 points. I am so impressed we have managed to achieve a top half finish this season. This should give us a pretty decent transfer budget going into season number 6, and hopefully we can try and get European football with the right signings. But unfortunately, we just cannot get going in the FA Cup in this rebuild, as we lost in the 4th round once again on penalties to West Brom. That is not good enough. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season 5, and we have had excellent growth all across the pitch. Gordon and Dyer are now 85 rated. They are 2 very, very strong Premier League level players, along with Elliot Anderson. The rest of the squad is ticking along nicely, but it's very, very clear to see where we need to improve this team in season number 6. We have to replace Rankin. We have to bring a new right back through the door, and if we have any leftover money, I will be looking to bring a new goalkeeper in to replace Green. However, I think we're going to have about 50 million to spend, and I'm more than willing to pool all that money into signing a right back. Now, in terms of stats, Dane Scarlett was absolutely insane. He got 36 goals and 3 assists in 44 games. He's only 80 rated. This guy's absolutely smashing it. As you know, we are going to be making his loan into a permanent deal at the start of next season, so I am so impressed with our performance in season number 5. Let's get into season 6, get a right back through the door, and try and get into Europe. We've arrived in season number 6, and despite finishing 8th in the Premier League, we've only got 45 million in the bank. And now we have to make Dane Scarlett's loan deal permanent. He's going to command big wages. I think we're going to have around 35 million to bring in a right back, which is decent, but for the targets he had in mind, I would have needed more money. And just look, boys, so many players have out of contract this season. We could really do with an influx of cash very soon, otherwise we could end up just stagnating. However, let's waste no time and get Dane Scarlett's loan deal made permanent. He's worth 24 million. We are going to sign him for just 3.3. Deal done. Dane Scarlett is in for the next 5 seasons. And we are left with 39 million in the bank, but as you've seen, we've got a lot of contracts to renew, and that's going to massively hamper our transfer funds. And after renewing those contracts, we're left with literally 33 million. So we have had a little scour of transfer market, and we have found a suitable right back, who is at the very least an upgrade on Dion Rankin. That man is Brooke Norton-Cuffy, who is currently playing in Italy. He's 78 rated, 25-year-old. He does have decent stats, and he's very affordable, boys. The max we're going to pay for him is 17.5 million. And if we can get a cheap deal here for Norton-Cuffy, we might just be able to bring a goalkeeper through the door as well. And Norton-Cuffy signs for 14.5 million, so we may be able to sign a goalkeeper as well. So boys, there has been a little bit of wheeling and dealing going on behind the scenes. We've sold first choice goalkeeper Etienne Green to Everton for 10 million, and we have reinvested the rest of our transfer budget in James Beadle, who was at Lorient in France. He's 24-year-old, 80 rated, got decent stats, and he has joined the club for 21.5 45 million. And after adding Norton, Cuffy and Beadle to the side, I do think we've made excellent use of the 45 million transfer budget, making Dane Scarlett a permanent signing. We've brought in Norton Cuffy, who is not the best right back in the world, but he is a +3 overall improvement on ranking and is actually 2 years younger. And we've also signed James Beadle, who is 4 years younger than Etienne Green and 2 overalls higher rated. So we have actually managed to improve our team, albeit not as much as we would have wanted to, but I'm pretty happy with the business we have done in season number 6. And we now only have £1 million in our bank account, meaning there's definitely going to be no more incomings in this window. So we've physically got no money left in the bank, boys. We're definitely not going to be selling anyone, as the squad is pretty small. I think there's nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 6, and let's hope for an improvement on season 5. We have arrived at the end of season number 6, boys, and Champions League football is coming to Edgeley Park, as we have managed to finish 3rd in the Premier League on 71 points, and in season 7 we will be competing in the Champions League. And you know what this means? We finally are going to have a decent transfer budget, and for whatever reason, boys, we just cannot get going in the FA Cup. We've been knocked out in the 3rd round by League 2 Peterborough. That is a disgrace. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 6, and Gordon and Dyer are just in a class of their own, both 88 rated. By far our best 2 players, but players like Amas, Edwards, Collier and Anderson are all 84 rated. They are developing nicely, along with Dane Scarlett. We do have some weaker players in the team. I do still think we need to bring a new right back to the club. Beadle hasn't grown this season, which is a little bit disappointing. Charlie Hughes has maxed out at 80 and so has Fevrier. So heading into season number 7, it's pretty difficult. Where do I want to improve the team? Well, we definitely want to bring a right back to the club, and if I'm honest, I am then probably going to bring in a centre back to replace Charlie Hughes. He's a good player, but he has completely stopped growing, boys, and I think we do need to add a bit more quality to our back line if we're going to be competitive in the Champions League. Now, in terms of stats, you probably already guessed it, Dane Scarlett was our best player, getting 26 goals and 13 assists, but our wingers were much more productive this season. Gordon got 13 and 7 and Fevrier got 13 and 6. Really good returns from them. That is season 6 in the history books. We're now getting into season 7. Let's get the club ready for Champions League football. So we have arrived in season 7, boys, and finally we have got some money. 136 million is sitting in our bank account. We will have to renew a few contracts. We can finally substantially improve our first team. So as we know, a right back is absolutely top of our priority list in this transfer window, so why not sign a player who was actually born just a couple of miles up the road from Stockport, and that is Rico Lewis, who is currently playing for Napoli. He's 85 rated, 25-year-old. His stats are really good, and he falls well into our price range, as the range we're looking at to sign him is anywhere between 49.2 and 65 million pounds. And definitely sign him. Is an excellent young right back. Let's get him through the door. And while this is a giant leap in the right direction, Rico Lewis signs for 55 million. What a signing this is. And that leaves us with 71 million pounds in the bank, and we are going to be looking to bring a new centre back to the club. And that centre back goes by the name of Levi Colwill. He is 84 rated, 27-year-old, also playing in Italy. Stats are really good. He is once again very affordable, 37.4 to 49.9 million we can be expected to pay. He would massively elevate the ability of our back line. He is a proper Champions League level centre back. And Colwill follows Lewis through the door, and he joins us for 40.5 million. And after those signings, we are actually still left with 25 million pounds in the bank. Now, the next player that I would want to replace in the starting 11 would be Fevrier out on the left wing. However, 25 million is not going to bring a player in who comes into our starting 11 and elevates it massively in terms of ability. But I do think we need a better backup winger than Markande on the bench. So we are going to use this 25 million to bring a winger in who can give Fevrier and God some much needed support heading into the Champions League. It is worth bearing in mind though, boys, that my next big transfer target I want to bring into our first team is actually a left winger. So the player that we do bring in will be a backup for probably the rest of the rebuild. And you know what, boys? I think now is the perfect time to bring Louis Barry back to Stockport County. After having an amazing loan spell with us in season 1, we can finally afford to bring him back to Edgeley Park. He's 27-year-old, 80 rated, can also play as a striker, and given the fact he's got 5-star weak foot, he could easily play on the right wing as well. He's got really decent stats, and he is super affordable. The max we're paying for him is 20 million. Let's get this man back to Edgeley Park. And Barry is back, as we have signed him for 18 million, and that leaves us with just 3 million in the bank, meaning our transfer window is officially closed. And with all the new signings in the starting 11, this is how the team is looking going into season number 7. We have massively improved our defence, and I definitely think this starting 11 of players is definitely ready to take on the Champions League. And you know what? Our bench is actually looking much better heading into Season 7 with the likes of Hughes, Norton Cuffy and Barrett on the bench, even Bate as well. We definitely do have options who can now come on and help swing games in our favour. And all that's left to do now, boys, is check our Champions League fixtures. So our Champions League fixtures have been announced, and we kick things off with an away tie to Mjøtland, which is a very, very winnable tie. We will then take on Lazio at home, which again I think is a winnable tie. Then travel to Wolfsburg, take on Dynamo Kiev at home, Atletico away, Milan at home. And just going off them first 6, I do think the fixtures could have been a little bit harder for us. There's definitely a nice balance of winnable ties and ties that you probably wouldn't expect to get any points from, but I am actually confident we can get through the league stage at least in our first Champions League campaign, and we are going to find out if we do by simulating forward straight through to the end of Season 7. So we have arrived at the end of Season number 7, and we have made it back-to-back third place finishes in the Premier League on 71 points. We was only actually 1 point away from winning the Premier League, as we had plus 28 goal difference. We were the league's highest scorers, so the progression is clear to see. Who knows, maybe next season we can push for a Premier League title. And once again, the less said about the FA Cup, the better. In the Champions League, we made the round of 16 and got beat by Leipzig 5-4 over 2 legs. It did look like a very tight game, and hopefully next season we can progress even further and get to the quarterfinals or maybe the semi-finals. So this is how the team is looking at the end of Season number 7, and we now have 2 90 rated players in the team in Gordon and Dyer. Collier is 87 rated as well. Plenty of 85s and 86s spreaded across the team, and our bench actually looks very, very strong as well, boys. So heading into Season 8, I would like to bring a new goalkeeper to the club, but there are just no good English goalkeepers out there. Beadle is literally the best one. We are going to be looking to bring in a left winger to replace Fevrier, as we said we would do last season. We are going to change Fevrier's position to a right winger and put him on the bench and try and sell Markande, and we want to bring a world-class left winger to the club who elevates us to the next level. In terms of stats, wow, Dane Scarlett, what a signing this guy has been. 43 goals and 8 assists, 33 in the Premier League. That is absolutely insane. So we just keep on progressing. Season 7 was a good season. Let's get into Season 8 and try and progress further in the Champions League. So we have arrived in Season number 8, and we have got 172 million to improve our team, meaning we can pretty much sign whoever we want in that left wing position. And boys, I think it's time that we bring the Stockport Iniesta to Edgeley Park, and that man is Phil Foden, who is playing for Man City, obviously. He is 31 years old, 90 rated, his stats are insane, he's got really decent play styles, and it would not be a Stockport County rebuild if I did not bring the Stockport Iniesta to the club. City are going to want anywhere between 90 and 120 million. We can definitely make this deal happen. We are going to make this deal happen, and then we'll change his position from a right winger to a left winger. And 105 million pounds later, the Stockport Iniesta now officially plays for Stockport. And there has actually been a further signing that's happened off camera. I thought we were looking a little bit short in the centre midfield position, so we have signed Leighton Clarkson from Real Zaragoza for 25 million. We have slightly overpaid, but he is 29-year-old, 80 rated, really decent stats, and I think he is a very decent backup heading into Season 8. And with Foden now in the first team, look at how strong this team is going into Season number 8. 3 90 rated players, so much talent across the starting 11, and the bench is now starting to look really, really strong as well. Could we be a potential dark horse heading into Season number 8? So we haven't made any further signings, and we haven't managed to sell Dylan Markande, as literally no one wants him. So let's now get on with checking our Champions League fixtures. And we kick things off with a home tie against Sturm Graz, which we have to be winning. That's followed up by another home tie against Malmo. Again, we've got to win them 2 games. Play at home to Bayer Leverkusen, very difficult tie. Travel to Lille, which we should be probably getting 3 points. Juventus away, very difficult away tie. Dynamo away, again for a second season running. Braga and Real Madrid. So I actually think them fixtures are quite kind, to be honest. We should be winning at least 5 of them. And just a little hint for next week's video, there is a team in that list who we are rebuilding next week. But back to the present, let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of Season 8 and see if we can improve in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of Season number 8, and we have won the Premier League, boys, beating Liverpool to the title by 4 points, winning 21 of our games, only losing 6 times all season. Absolute deserved winners, and the Premier League trophy is coming to Edgeley Park. But something that's not coming to Edgeley Park is the FA Cup, as once again in this rebuild we get beat by a League One side in the 4th round. What is going on? But I have got a saving grace, boys. We are in the Champions League final, and we're going to be taking on Real Madrid. That will be a very difficult tie. We had a very difficult league phase, only finishing 19th, meaning we entered the playoff rounds, where we beat Borussia Dortmund 6-1 over 2 legs. We really turned it on in the knockout stages, as we would then travel to Bayern Munich and beat them 6-4 over 2 legs, before travelling to Spain to take on Atletico Madrid, who we beat 6-2 over 2 legs. We then beat Lille 2-0 over 2 legs, and now we will take on Real Madrid for the Champions League trophy. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 8. Just look at it, boys. An absolutely unreal team on paper. So much quality in that team. My only concern is that our weak point is the goalkeeper, but defence is very strong. The midfield is extremely strong, and we've actually got 2 90 rated wingers. Foden at 91. Gordon is now 94 rated, meaning he's the highest rated player we have actually used in FC25. So in terms of stats, obviously Dane Scarlett was our best player, getting 31 goals and 12 assists. He has been insane in this rebuild. Phil Foden had a very solid first season as a Stockport player, getting 19 goals and 9 assists, and we will now head to Wembley Stadium to take on Real Madrid in the Champions League final. So here we go, boys. It's Champions League final time. It does not get much harder than this. We are taking on Real Madrid. They have the likes of Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice. It is going to be a very difficult tie, and you add into that Vinicius Jr. as well. We are going to have to be at our absolute best to win this game. And Dyer can move the ball quickly to Anderson. He's got a lot of space to run into, and Scarlett could be in there. Oh, he's gone off. He's off. He's offside. Oh, I just noticed that he's offside. And do you know what, boys? I'm actually wrong. We are not playing at Wembley Stadium. We're playing at Schalke's Stadium. Dyer. Foden. Phil Foden for his Bio club. He makes it 1-0, boys. What a finish from the Stockport Iniesta. And the first chance of the game falls to Stockport, and Phil Foden makes no mistake. Great ball from Dyer. Terrible defending by Real Madrid, we have to say. And what a finish by Foden. We are 1-0 up in this final. Oh, Scarlett's going to be in space there. Put it in front of him. Surely not. Scarlett, he's in the post. No. He just couldn't quite put it in the net. Really solid first half though, boys. I don't think Real Madrid are going to score in this half. And there's the whistle, boys. 1-0 up at half time. Been a really tight game. Not many chances. The 2 big chances of the game have fell our way. Foden scoring, Scarlett hitting the post. We just need to keep up this level of performance in the second half. Keep frustrating Real Madrid, and we will win the Champions League trophy. Second half, well on the way here, boys. Just keeping the ball at the minute. I don't want to give Real Madrid any encouragement in this final. I'll take... Oh, brilliant tackle. Foden. Oh my god, that's unreal from Phil Foden. Oh my god, Phil Foden. Oh, so close to going all the way through the Real Madrid side. Oh, Mbappe's in. What a block by Levi Colwill. Are you mad? 65 on the clock. We are really frustrating Real Madrid. There's been no major chances in this final. I tell you, we could be in just really well there. Oh no. Oh no, Mbappe's in, and it's 1-1. Oh, it's his first sight of goal. We've been doing so well at frustrating Real Madrid in this final. The first time Mbappe gets in, he scores. Foden. Foden. Oh my god. Come on. Square it. Scarlett, it's 2-1 to Stockport in the 85th minute. Real Madrid committing too many men forward. We hit them on the counter, and Foden unselfishly puts it on a plate for Scarlett. We're 2-1 up. What a through ball this is. No chance for the keeper to get there. Scarlett is not going to miss from there. Just going to make a couple of quick changes, boys. Louis Barry and Jadon Fevrier are coming on. 2 players who was actually here in Season 1. Collier, Mbappe from distance. Oh, he spooned it wide. He's absolutely ballooned it. And the referee has blown the full-time whistle. Stockport County have beaten Real Madrid, and we are the champions of Europe. And all that's left to do now, boys, is lift the Champions League trophy. What a rebuild this is. Dyer will do the honours, and Stockport County are the champions of Europe, and that is another rebuild successfully boxed off. So just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video, boys. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. And next week we are heading to the Portuguese League, as we have got a very interesting rebuild on the way.